Maine budget blocked. MaineCare, Budworms, and the hospital crisis? Explained. Let's get into it.
You've taken a crisis and turned it into a catastrophe, potentially.
A delayed funding bill is a big hit for critical access hospitals like ones in Rumford and Bridgeton. They're now only getting 70% of the reimbursement they would normally receive, and payment is being held altogether for any hospital claim over 50 grand. Maine Hospital Association President Stephen Michaud says hospitals are already in the red and some won't last without this money.
This level of a disruption in their payments will wreak havoc. And I don't think it's overstating the fact that if it goes on too long, we could be at risk of losing some.
And it's not just the healthcare system that's counting on this cash. There's also $2 million for spruce budworm remediation, which experts call the most dangerous forest insect in Maine. Here's how a UMaine professor describes their impact in an informational video from 2015.
Budworm essentially defoliates the trees over a period of years. And after about 3 to 5 years of this kind of defoliation, the trees begin to die.
The Maine Forest Products Council warns there's a clock for this funding too. Right now, there's a building outbreak on 300,000 acres of rustic forest, and that area needs to be sprayed in the narrow treatment window this spring. Without it, there's a higher risk for forest fires.
So while this deal might have gone up in smoke, the failure to act means our state could literally be on fire.
Welcome back, y'all. I'm Drew Hoagland, and this is Mainstream Current. So I've done some further research onto why exactly Inland Hospital, also Bridgeton and Rumford hospitals, are having a hard time paying and getting funding. And it's not as simple as you would think. And actually it raises many more questions that I have. So you can tell from the previous video that it wasn't that Republicans were voting against MaineCare. It's that MaineCare and Budworms were being conflated. Like, what the actual do those two things have in common? That's like going into a kitchen and pulling out a spatula and then going into a bathroom and looking at the shower head. What do those two things have in common? And Budworms and MaineCare? I'm feeling right there in the same amount of confusion. Like, what? So, yes, Republicans did vote against this, which forced Governor Janet Mills to sign the bill, the supplemental budget bill, to go through without 2/3 support. And so in the long run, it will be looked at as a democratically pushed through policy. I'm not Republican or Democrat. I have registered as both. I've registered as independent. I have voted across the board. I don't particularly like the two-party voting system. I think that if we had 3, the number 3 in Nikola Tesla's terms was a perfect number. And I've come to understand that as I've studied it more. The number 3 and the power behind it, and in nature, how the number 3 has stability. So having a bipartisan system, I think, sets us up for failure to begin with. And then when you have issues like this where you're taking, and this is from a headline from WGME 13. Maine hospitals, forest at risk after budget deal falls through, by Anna Kuhn, on March 12th, 2025. If I wasn't doing this research and I were to just read that headline, I would wonder what the hell those two things have to do together. I would assume that Republicans voted against 2 separate bills, one against hospitals and one against forests, as it falls through. Okay, this headline doesn't specify Republicans, but I would assume that those were two separate bills, the hospitals and forests. Not that it'd be one bill. And this is a common practice. This isn't something new. This is something that is done. But I don't understand it. And I don't like it. And if you have an issue with one, but you support the other, but you just cannot vote for it, then it's like you don't support either of those things. And that's what this headline kind of makes it sound like. This is from Maine Center for Economic Policy. And the headline reads, Statement: Senate Republicans block funding for healthcare and forest protection, risking lives and livelihoods. Again, I would think it was two separate bills. Like the Republicans were doing a double whammy. Boom, boom. We don't care about healthcare and we don't care about forest protection. But no, we're talking about the same exact thing, and there's no nuance there. There's no talking about the one, agreeing with the one and disagreeing with the other. Having issues with one but being totally supportive of the other. Or having questions about this one and having questions about that one. Why on earth would any reasonable person group two very different subjects together in one bill? So I guess a lot of this video comes down to that, because I've done a lot of research into the hospital system and into what's going on with everything with our healthcare here in Maine. And I'm going to continue to do more. I cannot group it all into one video because I'm trying to make these videos shorter. If you've been watching for a while now, I'm a year and a half old as a channel, then you'll know that I've significantly cut back on my on my recording times because I used to just go off. I am trying to be more concise and poignant nowadays. It's difficult when you have so many trailing thoughts with one issue, because I mean, the headlines that I have pulled up, and this is just about hospitals. I mean, you have the budget not going through, then it involves budworms. They're calling out Republicans, but you have all these other issues. Then there's a California-based nonprofit trying to buy up hospitals here in Maine. And Maine General announces changes as it looks to save $30 million amid financial challenges, which includes not filling 54 open positions that they have. And it's not like we don't need hospitals or care here in the state of Maine. We are an elderly state. Our population is up there in ages, so we need this. So to not fill open positions, those are positions that are open clearly for a reason, yet they're not getting filled. All in the attempts to save $30 million over this amount of time. And then it just goes on, because then you look into why hospitals are in debt like they are, which is another rabbit hole I went off onto, another video. Like, this isn't a simple thing. This isn't a simple solution, but this is something we absolutely have to focus on. And for me, this is personal, because I was born in and raised around Waterville, and I have many family members that are directly involved in the healthcare profession, and I care deeply for them. They care deeply for their job, and their job is deeply important. So the time to stand up and speak out is now. While I'm healthy, while you're healthy, it is not in the moment of crisis. It's not in the moment when your family or you get sick. At that time, you need to be able to rely on the community, and the support system around you. But as we're seeing, there is no support system. Why on earth would anyone group a bill about budworms and MaineCare in one bill? You're asking for opposition. You're asking to try and set up people to be disagreeable. You could be on one side of the aisle with one issue, and you could be on the other side with the other issue, and you're supposed to... Who did that? Who does that? Why are we doing this? That needs to stop. Am I alone? Like, leave your comments down below, because I really do appreciate the engagement. I really do look forward to hearing from you guys, because yes, this is my channel, but this is a grow with me kind of channel where I'm offering up research that I've done, and by no means am I telling you to trust me on my word. Do not trust anyone on their word ever. Always do your own research. Always do your own research. What I am doing in this video and the last video with the Facebook letter, I'm trying to get the message out there, and I'm trying to reach more people with things that I think are genuinely important. And the hospitals are something that you never plan to go to. I mean, unless you're pregnant or you have there are very, very few times when you plan to go to the hospital. Most of the time it just happens. And then you and your family are scrambling, and you're in a moment of crisis. And in a moment of crisis, you should not have to fight this system that seems set up to fail, because why would you ever conflate budworms and MaineCare together? So that's my biggest issue, and that's not a right or a left-leaning policy. That is a common sense policy. Why on earth are we doing that? It doesn't make sense. It's not healthy. It's gonna cause opposition. It's gonna cause disagreements. There is no room for nuance. There's no room for conversation. And then when the opposite side can just say that, oh, you did this because you don't care about Maine families, or you don't care about Maine forests, when actually you just had more questions about the family side, or you had more questions about the forest side. You're conflating two issues that are very separate and should not be in the same breath, let alone in the same bill. So that's just my take. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't think so. I think this is something that involves all of us, and I think that we all need to speak up and speak out while we can, because when the moment of crisis happens, it can happen at work, it can happen at any moment, at any time, in the grocery store, when you're at bank line, when you're getting up from bed. An emergency can happen, and at that point, you don't want to be trying to fight the system. You want to know that the system is there for you. So for us that are healthy, for us that can speak up and speak out, we need to. So please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, and get this out there, because I genuinely believe it's important. If you disagree, go ahead and leave some comments down below, because the engagement helps. But that is the point of conversation. You don't have to agree. Chances are you're not going to agree. And if you think you ever agree with someone else 100%, one of you is lying. That's not going to happen. But let's have conversation. Let's have polite, respectful conversation. And let's get the ball moving. Because sometimes change does need to happen. But change cannot just happen for change's sake. Change needs to happen for genuine progress, for genuine reasons that... Okay, that last part fell through. But we need to have change where change actually means something, not just for change's sake. I'm not going to end this video. I try to do it in one take. Sometimes I have to edit it. But you know what? This is just real. This is raw. I'm Drew Hoagland, and this has been Mainstream Current. Until next time, y'all, have a great day.